Okay, so I know I look like Chris Cross right now. Stay focused. Unless you've been sitting under a rock, then I'm pretty sure you've heard about the 4 Americans who were kidnapped this week when they crossed the Mexican border. I'm going to be honest with you. As someone who lives in Mexico and who has lived in Mexico for 2 years, as the details are coming out, it's pretty terrifying. And I'm just going to say this. I honestly was not even going to talk about this situation. It's traumatic. It's a scary situation. I'm pretty sure it's a scary situation for everyone who is involved. The reason why I'm talking about it is, number one, so many people reached out to me asking me, had I heard about this, just wanted to check on me, make sure I was safe because I live in Mexico. And then also one of the victim's sister, the victim's name is Zindell Brown. His sister reached out to me on Facebook because she wanted to get more information on locating someone who crossed a Mexican border, right? So she reached out to me on Sunday asking me just questions about Border Patrol, what's the process of getting into Mexico. I was a little confused. At this point, to be honest, I hadn't heard much about the case of the 4 Americans. People were sending it to me, but I really wasn't reading it. It wasn't until she sent me this that I actually started to do research. So after she sent me the message, I started doing research online, started reaching out to different Facebook groups for expats who live in Mexico, and it started to get crazy. So basically, Latavia, they spelled her name wrong in this post as well. It's not Latavius, it's Latavia. Latavia was going to Mexico to get a tummy tuck procedure done. Her 3 friends, the 3 males, they decided to accompany her to provide her, some support. So let me note this really quick. There are 50 border crossings from the U.S. to Mexico. This means if you are in a vehicle, there are 50 ways that you can cross from the U.S. to Mexico. So of the 50, there are only 4 that the U.S. has declared safe enough for Americans to drive across to get into Mexico. Sidebar, I know this because I drove my car from the States to Mexico. It took me 4 days. I did a lot of research, so I know that. Back to this terrifying story. So according to my sources, Latavia hadn't done much research when it was time for her to do the tummy tuck procedure. They got into a car, they put the address in the GPS, and they were on their way to Mexico. Allegedly, the cartel noticed them at the border. Once they passed the border, they were fired upon by the cartel, who assumed they were Haitian drug smugglers. They get them out the vehicle, and you can actually see in the video where they're being brought to the bed of a white truck. So that's the white truck right there. So of the 4 victims, only 1 victim was able to actually walk herself into the bed of the truck. She did get some assistance. They pushed her in there. I'm assuming then that's Latavia, the one with the blonde braids. It looks like blonde braids. They definitely have the video swarming around TikTok and on social media. Because of the family, I'm definitely not going to post that video. You can look for it yourself. This was the vehicle they were driving from the States into Mexico. As you can see, it's clearly shot up, and then they hit the red vehicle that's on the other side. Now, a lot of news outlets were saying that this probably happened on Saturday, but I'm thinking it happened on Friday. When I spoke to Zindell's sister, she said that she spoke to him via Snapchat on Thursday. He said everything was fine. They were just passing Mississippi. On Friday, she reached out to him on Snapchat. That's when he stopped responding. Like, he didn't even open the messages, which she thought was pretty weird. So if this happened on Friday, on Tuesday, which is today, now we're getting confirmation. The names are being released, and the FBI is now offering a $50,000 reward to help them with finding the suspects. As someone who lives in Mexico, the chances of them even getting any tips, especially since it's a different border, it's a different country, slim to none. But they are offering a $50,000 reward. This is when it also gets crazy. It is now being assumed that someone already assumed that Latavia was a Haitian drug smuggler before she even crossed the border, and that her doctor kind of set them up. This is allegedly. What was also pretty sad to me is the fact that people were already online saying rest in peace to the victims, pushing out this news outlet, and a lot of the family members had not even heard word from the FBI if their relatives were still alive or not. So if you can see, I texted Zindell, one of the victim's sister, at 1:20 today, telling her to keep the faith. And I then messaged her to ask about a GoFundMe because I saw that she had posted a GoFundMe and then it was removed. So once the GoFundMe is up, I definitely will post an update with the GoFundMe link for anyone who wants to donate to help the families that were involved. Prayers to all of the victims and the families. And it's important that you guys are doing research before you start traveling, especially if you're driving across the border to another country. It's very, very important. But prayers to the victims and the families. I'll keep you posted.